Welcome to another Q&A session for the best club in history, Real Madrid, hosted by Gael Manny. This is a Madridismo.org production.
Hi everybody. I know this Q&A is not going to be the big celebration that we all thought it would be, but that doesn't mean this Clásico didn't give us plenty to talk about. So that's what we're going to do, like for any other game. Because if we can't celebrate together, at least we can share opinions and feelings and help each other get some closure, so to speak. I don't care what the statistics say about losing the Clásico at home. I think the Liga is obviously not over yet, and since we were on a roll before this match, there's no reason why we should not show great quality in our upcoming matches. So here's the new plan. Analyze this Clásico together, feel better about it, put it behind us, and move on. And to do so today, we have Aaron, Apekshit, and Karan from the Madridismo.org team. Hi guys, how are you doing? Aaron, you want to go first, sharing your...
Okay, yeah, I got the two A's in my name. Figure I should go first. Hey, I'm doing great.
You're doing great?
Yeah, somehow the world still goes on.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good philosophy. Apekshit, I understand that you're not great at all.
Well, I'm terribly disappointed to be really honest with you.
Yeah, I know. You know, I listened to the pregame Q&A that you did with Aaron on Friday, and basically you had the right score, just the other way around. So
I know, yeah.
Okay. And you, Karan, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay as well.
All right.
Just going on, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You had the right starting 11. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
If that can give you a little bit of satisfaction. And Aaron and Apekshit, you were right. Alexis starting over Villa, too. So.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised about that. I mean, he had a great game.
And he made a lot of difference, yeah, Sanchez.
Yeah. Okay, well, so we'll start with the first question. What happened in a few words? Because in my opinion, for instance, it was very balanced. The match was very balanced between both teams, but we missed almost all of our chances, whereas Barca converted every chance they had, almost. I think that's what happened. But Mourinho... Yeah, sorry?
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, Mourinho in the press conference said that basically there was an element of luck, that Barca got luckier than we did. And I tend to disagree with that, but we'll come back to that later. And Barca's Xavi said that they completely dominated the game, and I think Rosell said so too. Rosell said that they gave us a bath, he said that in Spanish, but I don't know if he can say that in English, but basically, I guess he meant that they kicked our butts. So I would like to know, what do you think it all came down to? Aaron, you going to go first?
Yeah, well, I've made a habit of not paying attention to Xavi because he tends to say a lot of stuff in a very pompous manner, which is befitting to his status as a Barcelona player. But really, I think you were right in that the key aspect of the match was that they put away their chances and we did not. I think what was underlying that and the root of all of our problem is that Barcelona has become our boogeyman team. They have a psychological dominance over us that's going to be really, really tough for us to overcome. The good news is that La Liga is not just 2 matches. There's, in fact, a whole season. So even if we can't go into the Camp Nou and beat them, we can still end up with the title.
Yeah.
So, but for the time being, it's really tough to imagine when we're going to be able to overtake that psychological barrier that they've been able to put up.
Yeah, exactly. Apekshit, you want to go a second?
Yeah, sure. Well, I thought that we just threw it away, we just threw the match away. We started off so well, we scored a goal inside 22 seconds. Valdez was actually playing for us, I thought. And last year, the way he closed down Messi in the beginning of the game, he was absolutely amazing, I thought. But then in the second half, something went wrong. Something went terribly wrong. I don't know what happened. And we know that Messi is going to take on players. He's going to go past players. The way he performed in the 5-0 mauling last season. I mean, we did not learn a lesson well, I thought. We should have learned a lesson. He's going to take on players. The first goal that they scored, Sanchez scored. Messi went past Ozil, Ramos, Las Diarra, and he passed the ball to Sanchez. And there was no one. There were players closing him down. There were players who were closing down Sanchez. They died also, but then it just somehow went inside the net. I don't know what happened. And then after conceding the first goal, we were just flat on our back. We just gave up. I thought we just gave up after conceding the first goal. But the way we started the game, it was absolutely amazing, I would say. And had we just continued with the same momentum, we surely would have won it.
Yeah, we started great. I thought, oh, that's it, because usually they score against us and we're not capable of reacting, or they completely dominate us. And I thought, oh, this first goal is such a breath of fresh air, and we're gonna do this. And then what happened? I was like, I cannot believe this.
We actually had the psychological edge with us, but we couldn't capitalize on it.
Okay, Karan?
I feel the three important things that screwed up our game was lack of luck. I would agree with Mourinho out there, because we just didn't have luck in front of goal. Because Ronaldo normally puts all of these goals, and he scores all of these. And it's not like he's not a big game player or any of that. So I think the first thing was lack of luck. The second was lack of finishing. And the third was not the right attitude. I mean, when we went down 1-2, we didn't play with the right attitude. And it's always been Madrid's philosophy that we've always had the comeback. We've always had this: you score how many, and we'll score more than you. But this time we just didn't have the right attitude.
Someone agrees with you. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on with the lack of finishing. So yeah, Karan, you said you agreed with Mourinho. I think though that's a little bit our peculiarity. We always like finishing, and Barca never miss their chances. That's how I feel it always happens. So, do you think it's a difference in skills, or again luck? Okay, why not? Or in the pregame Q&A with Aaron and Apexit on Friday, we said the game will go in favor of whichever of both teams doesn't miss even the slightest chance, and that's totally what happened yesterday. So, Aaron and Apexit, do you agree with Karan that it was luck also? A question of luck, because I tend to disagree actually a little bit.
Well, I beg to differ with Karan. I beg to differ with him, because I mean, missing such chances, they are professionals, they're supposed to bury those chances, and Ronaldo, he's not a big game player. He has never been a big game player, And yesterday, I remember, in the 25th minute, I've taken down notes, in the 25th minute, Di Maria was open, there was absolutely no one marking him. He decided to take the shot, and it went way off the post, It was not even on target, and then the 65th minute, Xavi found Ronaldo, and he was open again, and his header was not even on target. When we talk about these big games, big players need to perform. They just have to perform. There's no other way out. And when you're 3-1 down, this also reminds me that in the 65th minute we were just 2-1 down. So had Ronaldo scored that would have been game on. It surely would have been game on. It would have been 2-2 then. But Ronaldo just, I don't know, you can count the touches on your fingertips, He was not at all involved in the game yesterday. He was not at all involved in the game. He should have taken on players, he should have gone past them. And for me, the man of the match was Carlos Puyol. The way he played yesterday was absolutely amazing, I thought. Ronaldo was nowhere. He was nowhere yesterday. So I thought we did not take our chances. I wouldn't say we weren't lucky. Because at that level, you have to take your chances. There's no other way out.
Okay. Aaron, you said earlier in the chat that you thought it was a problem of attitude, which Karan also said. You want to comment on that as well?
Well, I think it wasn't just attitude. Like it was psychology. It was something deep down in the bones of these Madrid players and of these Barcelona players that decided this match. I think, luck definitely played a part, but I don't think it was the reason for the loss, as Mourinho would want to imply. Their second goal, there's little other way to describe that but luck. So they definitely had luck. Barcelona tends to have a lot of luck with bounces. When the ball's ping-ponging around inside the 18, it usually bounces well for them for some cosmic reason. But I don't think that's what decided this match. Ronaldo being a big game player, I don't know that I'm ready to say that he's a big game choker, as a lot of people, seem to be claiming, but he definitely doesn't step up his game in these big matches, which is tragic. And for a player to want to be the very best in the world, he has to be capable of that. So I think a lot of people want to throw Ronaldo under the bus after that performance, and I don't know if I want to stop him. I'm not going to join him, but I don't know if I want to stop him.
Yeah, he can definitely kiss his golden ball goodbye after that, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He could have, this game could have made a difference, maybe, because I think it is going to go to Messi anyway, but maybe if he had been outstanding last night, people could have doubts, but that's definitely not going to happen now.
Well, remember he did win us the Copa del Rey, so he has performed well in matches against Barcelona before. And honestly, I don't think Messi had a fantastic game. He had that one assist, but otherwise, he squandered one of his chances when Sergio Ramos slipped. There's luck for you. He had that opportunity. He ran on goal, and he wasn't able to put it past Casillas. Yeah. So, it's not as cut and dry as Ronaldo is a big game choker and Messi is a big game winner.
Can I just say something here? That Messi's chance, at least it was on target. You should call upon the keeper, but Ronaldo did not do that. And I also remember a couple of free kicks that he took. Just crashed against the both free kicks were terrible, and both the free kicks just crashed against the wall. So you should call upon the keeper. That's the bare minimum, for a world class player that Ronaldo is.
Definitely. I'm not trying to say that I think Messi and Ronaldo had the same quality of game besides the assist. I think Messi definitely played better, but I don't think Messi was anywhere near man of the match. Puyol is probably the safe bet for that, but I don't think Messi is even in the top 3. Maybe not the top 5.
Yeah, I wasn't saying either that Messi had a especially better game than Cristiano, but I was saying that since, based on last season, Messi was probably the most probable choice for the Golden Ball. Cristiano's performance yesterday definitely didn't win it for him. So, yeah.
Yep.
That's what I meant. Okay, so I see that in all the reasons that we've discussed for the loss, nobody mentioned the refereeing, which was a concern that we had going into this Clásico. So, Aaron, I'm going to ask you to go first on this one because
a second.
I'm sorry?
Just a second. Before we go into the refereeing, I would beg to differ with what Apekshit was saying. I'm sorry if I didn't get the name right.
All right.
I feel that you can't call him a big game choker. It's like this, when he scored in the Copa del Rey, he all said, "Oh, okay, it's just the Copa del Rey." And when the same way, if he would have scored today, you would just have said that, okay, it's just the La Liga game. Let's see if he does that in the Champions League final. So you want him to prove you every single time, and it's not going to happen. He's just another player. He had a bad day, obviously. He had his free kicks were poor, his runs were poor decision making, and all of that. But you can't say he's a big game choker. This doesn't mean that because he's won us a lot just based on his talent. So, like not a lot, but obviously the Copa del Rey, that's a big thing as well. So you can't say he's a big game choker.
Okay,
Aaron
so
said that. I did not say it actually. Aaron said that. Yeah,
I think Aaron said that he wouldn't go as far as calling him a big game choker. That's what he said, right?
Yeah,
Precisely.
Yeah. So, Karan,
So I guess we all agree.
you would blame the whole team rather than just one player. I guess that's what you mean also, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So going back to the referee, that was a concern that we had before the game, and on Friday, Aaron said that if the referee was not performing right, he would have very strong words for him. So, and you also said yesterday night that it was the same referee that had failed to impress you in the Supercopa. So I'm asking you, what's your verdict for last night?
I mean, I thought he had a decent game. I think there's a very serious argument for why Messi should have been shown a second yellow card and sent off the pitch in the middle of the match, which we all know that obviously didn't happen. But you know what? He wasn't the deciding factor in the match, which is the best we can hope for. Perhaps Ramos could have been shown a red card as well after the Messi instance. So there's that whole wrinkle to the system. But I think overall the referee had a decent match. He remained consistent. He had a general philosophy, which was he wanted to try and impact the play as little as possible. And you know what? We've got to be able to win if that's the scenario.
Okay. Karan, you had the referee on your list of things to be on the lookout for. So what did you think?
I think he tried to keep the game as even as possible. Probably Messi should have been sent off, but if you'll see at the overall match, he was pretty even. It was fair. It was a fair game, and it was pretty fair refereeing as well.
Okay. Apekshit?
Yeah, but I thought that the referee did a very decent job. There was a lot of pressure on him. There were players provoking him to show the cards. But I think he did a really, really good job yesterday.
All right. I wasn't sure why he booked Messi after the foul of Pepe on Alexis, because Messi was protesting. That's why he booked him.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the only card he showed for that reason, though. Otherwise, I thought he did a good job at containing everybody and not letting this go out of hands. So, yeah, it was good. All right. Can we move on to tactics now?
Sure.
Oh, I take this as a yes. Karan, you want to start on this one? What did you notice?
I think initially we had it spot on. We were playing with the right starting 11, and towards the end of the half, we started losing the plot. And the second half, our tactics were absolute zero. It was a completely disjoint team playing in the second half. We were individuals playing on the football field, and it didn't look like we were playing against Barcelona. And on the other hand, Barcelona play like how they normally do. They generally take the pace out of the game and slowly build it up from the defense. And they were just normal Barcelona. It wasn't like they were playing a poor game yesterday. Like some people were commenting that they were playing a really poor game, and we should have capitalized on that. But we made them look poor initially, at least in the first half. And we should have had Mourinho could have implemented a better tactics towards the second half. But as I said, it just went completely wrong after they scored.
Okay, Apekshit?
We started off really well. Last year I was doing a fantastic job on Messi. For the beginning 20-25 minutes, we were really good. But then after that, we started losing the plot. We let them play their possession football. When the match started off, Benzema and Di Maria, they were pushing. They were pushing when the ball was played back to Valdez. They were putting pressure on Valdez. Which after 25 minutes they just stopped doing that. And Barcelona settled down pretty well. After that. So and it's quite difficult to actually keep pushing for the whole game. For the whole 90 minutes. You need to have a lot of stamina for that. And Di Maria actually twisted his knee doing that.
Yeah.
So I thought we started off very well, But in the second half, we just completely lost the plot. And the job which Las Vieira was doing on Messi in the first half, he was not able to do the same thing in the second half. Had he done that, probably things could have been much different.
Okay, Aaron?
Well, I think tactically, I don't quite agree with the decision to play Mesut Ozil, because I think you need to have another person in the midfield that's really going to help you boss and control the physical side of the game. I think with three strikers up top, you don't need an attacking playmaker. And I think had Mourinho done that differently, we might have seen a different match be played. I still strongly believe that the game was won and lost on the psychological side of the game, not on the tactical side of the game. But when it comes down to it, the simple fact of the matter is that Barcelona goes out and plays their brand of football every match they play. It's always the same. And Real Madrid isn't built to do that. We're built to dominate the lesser teams. So when we come up against a team like Barcelona, it's very difficult because we have to change our shape, we have to change our strategy, we have to change our outlook on the game. So I think that's one of the main reasons that we keep having so much trouble with this Barcelona side. We'll probably have a lot of trouble if we meet a big side in the Champions League as well. The one thing that I would have liked to see besides changes in personnel is if Mourinho had instructed his team to push and then sit back and then push and then sit back in 10, 15, 20-minute intervals like we've seen him do before, because I think that's what's capable of putting Barcelona off balance. And he might have just gambled and thought that Guardiola would have been smart enough to identify that that was the tactic that Madrid had used in the past and done well with, and prepared his team for that. But I think that is the ideal way to pressure Barcelona, because if you press them for 90 minutes straight, of course your entire team is going to be exhausted. That's what Barcelona wants you to do. That's how they're going to score a ton of goals on you. Equally, if you sit back for 90 minutes, they're going to tear you apart with their, tiki-taka, small passes, excellent movement. So you've got to move back and forth between the two, and you've got to do it at sort of unexpected intervals so you can catch them sleeping, you can press them, you can make them make mistakes. If we had kept that up, we might have seen more goals like Benzema's.
All right. One thing I noticed was after the first goal, I was very hopeful, and then I noticed that we were missing our chances, but also I had a feeling there was a big hole in our midfield. I wasn't sure why, but then probably Mourinho or maybe Pep, I don't remember, in the press conference mentioned the fact that they switched to three defender lineup during the course of the game, and I thought, well, maybe that's why I always had a feeling that they were more people, they had more men on their team than we did. I don't know if I'm completely wrong with this assumption, or if you have something else to contribute to that, but I thought maybe that didn't help us either.
Well, for me, having watched Barcelona, I feel like they've always played with a modified three-man back system, because when you look at them, they tend to have their fullbacks press up the field and have Busquets sit back to be almost a third center back. So I don't think it's a huge tactical shift, because they've played this way before this season, starting out with three backs. They did against Valencia to mixed results. But I think with the way their team works, it's interesting and at the same time disgusting, because of course I'm a Madridista, to see them able to pull off this three-back set. And it definitely gives you more of a presence in the midfield, and they were absolutely able to overrun our midfield, especially considering the fact that we had Las, who's a fantastic, anchor man. He'll hold and run up and down the field. And we have Xabi, who has spectacular positioning, but he doesn't really have pace to burn. And then we have Ozil, who's really out of his element trying to pressure and hold the midfield together.
All right. Karan and Apekshi, do you want to add anything else to that?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Not really, yeah.
All right. Well, we were watching the game with a friend of ours who's a Barca fan. Ooh! And so we agreed at the beginning of the game that whatever happened, nobody would, mocking the other ones. And we're glad that we set that rule because otherwise we would have suffered. But what was interesting is that he was saying, at first he said Cesc is having a terrible game. It's terrible game. And then suddenly he's like, oh, who's that guy? I'm like, it's Busquets. And he's like, Busquets is on the pitch. And I'm like, you haven't realized that yet? And he's like, well, Busquets is even more terrible because I didn't even see he was playing. So just, what did you think that these two players had particularly terrible games? Maybe Karan, you want to go first on this one?
I think Busquets always has an okay game. I'm not really a big fan of him, obviously, for obvious reasons as well. But he was playing more of a holding role, and he was helping them in the defense as well. So he played a big role in the defense and in joining both the midfield and the defense, and he was playing pretty good. Nothing really exceptional, but that's always been his game.
Okay. And what about Fabregas?
Fabregas, he's been a brilliant player. I mean, right from his Arsenal days and everything. And the way he set into this Barcelona team. There's a reason why Villa was benched and Alexis and Fabregas started. And I think these two guys, Busquets and Fabregas, the way they join both the midfield, the attack, and the defense and the midfield is just brilliant. It's just brilliant.
All right, so you wouldn't agree with our friend then?
I know.
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I don't want to offend him. He won't listen to this anyway. But he's not like a true Barca fan. He supports Barca, but he doesn't watch all the games and everything. So I wouldn't rely too much on his judgment. So this is me getting back at him. Subtly. Okay. Well, let's move on to the substitutions.
Actually,
yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something there?
Oh yeah, sure.
I think with Busquets, it's difficult if you're not a fan of Barcelona to truly appreciate him. Not just because of his antics, but also because his style of play. He's a very understated player, and unless you watch Barcelona day in and day out, you're not going to get just how important he is to that side. I think he had a pretty good game, but I would disagree with the assessment that Fabregas had a good game. I thought he had a terrible game. Besides his one contribution of the goal, he really didn't play particularly well, and I think the only reason he started instead of Villa is because Villa is terribly out of form. I think Fabregas was lucky to get his one goal. Speaking of luck being a bit of a trend here, but I don't think he showed the kind of class that's going to scare me for years to come. He certainly is still growing in the team. He certainly is still trying to find his place, work into the movements. Because, I mean, Barcelona is like a finely tuned watch, and he hasn't been able to slot in seamlessly, even though he's one of their youth products. But I hope to see that continue. But it's likely that he will perform better in future Clásicos.
All right. Okay, so now moving on to the substitutions. One interesting thing I noticed was that by the 30 minutes into the second half, we already had used all of our substitutions, and Barca was only starting to use theirs. So I thought it was interesting, and I was wondering what you thought of the different substitutions that Mourinho put in place for us. Maybe Apekshit, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure. Mesut Ozil came off in the 58th minute, and Kaká was brought on. I thought soon after conceding the second goal, Kaká should have actually been should have actually come on, but it did not matter much because it was just 5 minutes later. So Kaká came on and he tried his best, but things did not work out well. And Higuain also came on. Sami Khedira also came on, but then nothing worked for us. So, and Barcelona started using the substitutions later because they were leading. They were leading 3-1, and Pep Guardiola probably did not think that there was a need to change the system, which is why the substitutes came on. I see the first substitute here. Keita was brought on. In the 79th minute he was brought on. So this was why, because they were leading. So yeah.
Okay, so it was for us. It was Mourinho's attempt to change the dynamics of the game and try something different, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay. Karan?
I think substitutions were pretty poor because Lasana was having a brilliant game. I know he was on a yellow card and everything, but bringing Khedira on, Khedira is slow, his ball control is poor, and though he might have good, he's good in marking and everything, and I wouldn't play him in front of Lasana. I mean, I wouldn't substitute him for Lasana because he was giving it. He was giving it his all. He was just brilliant. So that one was wrong for me. Even Kaká, I don't think so. He was match fit. He wasn't track backing. He was. Ozil wasn't brilliant either, but at least he was track backing. He was showing that eagerness that's required in a Clásico. He was giving it his all, just like Lassana Diarra. And Di Maria, he was just brilliant. I think Higuain could have come on for Benzema because Di Maria was at least running. And if you have Kaká, Cristiano Ronaldo, and both of them, we already are playing with two people less who are going to mark. Because those guys were not going to mark. They're just going to sit. When they're going to get the ball, they're going to try showing their skill. So I wasn't too impressed with the substitutions.
All right. Aaron?
I think, first off, I would have loved to see Callejon come on.
Yeah.
Was he even in the squad day list?
Yes, he started warming up at some point, actually.
Oh man, I would have loved to see him come on for Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that would have been the boldest move. It's never going to happen, but I would have really liked to see that. I think Kaká for Ozil made sense for me, kind of. Ozil wasn't having a very good game. That was Mourinho's attempt to shake up the tactics. I think Khedira for Loss was all about that yellow card. I think Mourinho had no faith in Lassana Diarra to avoid getting that second yellow card, and as much as he jokes about it, I really don't think he wants to play any more matches against Barcelona a man down. And then the final substitution, I gotta disagree with Karan. I think Benzema was far and away our best attacker of the day, and I wouldn't want to take him off for anything, especially with us trailing in the match. Higuain was just Mourinho rolling the dice, hoping for the best, hoping that somehow Higuain would be able to pull us out of the fires he's been able to do before. But, it didn't work out. And the substitutions, what else was he going to do? Who else was he going to throw on? I really don't see any opportunities for Mourinho to make a huge difference with a substitution. Nuri Sahin he's not fit enough to make a difference in a match like this, and throwing him on in this game would have probably destroyed his confidence and would have rendered him next to useless for the rest of the season, if not for a couple months. So I think Mourinho was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Okay, that's interesting because you guys usually there's always one point where you disagree, whether it's about Fabregas or Las or whoever. So I'm thinking Mourinho must have a very big headache, because if he was listening to advisors, if you were his advisors, he would be like, okay, so now what do I do? I guess there's no one just
Well,
one right.
that's what he gets paid the big bucks for, is to make these decisions and have people like us sit back here and second guess them.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just add something here?
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, because I heard you say something when we started talking about Callejon, but I didn't know if you had time to actually say what you wanted to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Callejon was in the squad, and I would again like to disagree with Karan, because running hasn't worked for 68 minutes. What do? You need to shake up. You need to make a certain change which will actually get you back on track. So the running, Di Maria, there's absolutely no doubt that he gives us 200%. But that did not work. That particular night, it just did not work. So you have to try and do something different. This is what I just wanted to say.
Karan, you want to answer?
Yeah, I feel that Di Maria was just running means. I was just trying to say that if you're having too many people on the field who are not going to give it their all against a team like Barcelona, then it's just not worthy enough for them to play on the pitch. Because in Ronaldo, we all know he's not going to be substituted. Mourinho already had one person less who's going to help the team. And you could see Casillas was also so irritated with all of this that was happening, because he knew that he was seeing that these guys just didn't have that passion that was there in the earlier teams that he's played with. And that's exactly what I was trying to say, that Lasagna, Ozil and Di Maria were giving it their all. Obviously, Benzema shouldn't have been substituted. Benzema, I really wanted him to stay on the pitch, and eventually he did. And I wasn't saying that Higuain should have come on for Benzema, but we didn't have really much of an option, because these three for me were by far at least performing on the pitch.
Okay, let me tell you something. Had Las Diara not been substituted, he surely would have been sent off. Because I have been tracking him. He loses his head. He was on a yellow card. He surely would have been sent off. So I thought it was a smart move to take him off.
Yeah, I was noticing that he was being very, very tougher and tougher as the match was, progressing. And I thought, and when he got the yellow card, I thought, this is their first warning. So I can understand the substitution. Yeah.
We could have had Granero on. I mean, we've never played him. I mean, he's helped in defense, and he's been creative as well. So we could have had him on. We can't always. I'm not impressed by Khedira playing in crunch games. He has not impressed me at all.
Well, Granero was not even in the squad.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I'm just saying in hindsight, if we could have had another backup option.
I think the problem is that Madrid just doesn't have the personnel to play something like a 4-4-2 that would probably do really well against Barcelona, believe it or not. As traditional of a formation as that is, I think that might be what's needed to beat them. But we don't have quality all-action midfielders. I'm a fan of Granero, but for some reason, Mourinho is just not giving him a lot of looks, and you can't take a player like that and just toss him into the biggest match of the season with very little warm-up. That's never going to work. And that harkens back to my comment earlier about Madrid being built to beat up on these smaller sides. And then when we get to these really big matches, we don't have the personnel in form, in fitness to play something like a 4-4-2, and it gets nasty.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I will start to discussing the players, some of the players more in detail. First of all, the combination, quote unquote, Lasco and Trao, because Karan, you had the right lineup, but I think you switched them, right? You had Coentrao in the midfield and Las as a right back. And on TV, when they showed the lineup before the game started, they had exactly the same lineup as you did, Karan. So they were misled as well. So my first question, maybe I will ask Apeksha to answer first, because I know he really likes Las. What did you think of Las as a right back, in the midfield, as opposed to playing in a right back?
Yeah,
do you think it was the right decision, basically?
Yeah, I thought it was certainly the right decision to start Las Diara. in the beginning of the game, he was amazing. Messi was so damn frustrated. He wanted to just kick Las Diarra, because he was dispossessing him so many times. He dispossessed Messi so many times. But then after that, I don't know what went wrong. Messi started playing his game. Maybe Messi did not warm up properly, so he wasn't warmed up and ready for the game yet. The Messi started taking people on and beating them, So I thought Las Diarra did a decent job in the first half, but then in the second half things went terribly wrong.
Okay.
So I would still say that starting him was the right decision that Mourinho made.
All right, and Contrao?
Contrao, I thought he was poor. He was really poor last night.
Really?
I don't believe in blaming players, but then when you ask me, I have to say what I feel like, So Contrao, I thought, was really poor. If you notice the third goal, Fabregas, he sneaks ahead. When you're marking a player, how can you let a player sneak ahead of you? A defender just cannot do that. It is suicidal, I would say. So he just let Fabregas. Yeah.
I was going to talk about that third goal. The way that Fabregas got in front of Contrao, if you watch the replay, is he actually starts his run from Barcelona's half of the field. Contrao's sitting there complaining to the ref. I think maybe because he thought Iniesta had a handball. Contrao came in with a tackle, and it looked like it popped up in Iniesta's path, and it hit his hand. And so instead of tracking back immediately, Contrao's yapping his mouth at the ref, and Fabregas is just making his run. So by the time that ball finally gets played through, which, I mean, Barcelona was pretty direct there, they saw the opening. By the time that ball gets played through, he's a half step behind. And I still think he could have done more to put Fabregas off, but the reason that he got beat there was because he was talking to the ref instead of playing football.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah, I would just like to add something here. Can I just go ahead?
Yeah, sure, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's taught in school, to the players who are just beginning to play football. You play to the whistle. You have to play to the whistle. You do not whine to the referee. You just get on with your game. Which Fabregas Contrao just failed to do. And Fabregas made the most of it. You should always play to the whistle.
All right. Karan, I would like to know your opinion on both players, Las and Contrao, in the positions they played, because since you had the right lineup but you had switched positions, I would like to know what you thought.
I feel the positions they played in was perfect. Like Lasagna was helping Alonso in the midfield very well, as opposed to and he has a dominating aspect to his game. That he can pull off. He's got the running ability. He's got the strength, the stamina, and all of it. So he was playing in the right formation, and I wasn't really unimpressed with Contrao. He was doing really well. I mean, at least in the start, he was keeping Iniesta at bay when Iniesta was playing on the left, and Contrao was doing pretty well. And another thing for the goal, obviously we should blame Contrao, but Fabregas had more momentum, like what these guys said. He had more momentum, and he had more space ahead of him, and that's why he scored. But Contrao wasn't bad. He wasn't bad to be, judged by saying that he played a really poor game. I really wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah. Can I just say something?
Okay, Apekshit first, Aaron second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah. I think you should watch the replay and see how many times Contrao gets beaten one-on-one. He gets beaten one-on-one so many times. So I would say he was all over the place,
Aaron?
I would agree that playing Lost in the midfield was the right decision. You needed a man with his mobility and his tenacity in the midfield when you're playing with Xabi Alonso and Mesut Ozil as the other two midfielders. You need somebody out there that's going to run and is going to close down space and is capable of doing that. Fabio Contrao is right back. I would have loved it if Arbeloa had been fit for this match, because I think he would have given us something better than Contrao. I'm not trying to judge Contrao as a player. I think he's a decent enough lad. He's got a really tough position here, having to step into right back. He's not particularly familiar with right back. He's not familiar with playing in our team as a right back. He hasn't meshed there. He's not familiar with playing against the highest opposition at right back. But at the end of the day, I do believe he was a weak link in the team. I wouldn't fault him as much as I was fault some of the other players on our team for poor performances, but I think he definitely was an aspect that Barcelona was right to take advantage of.
Oh, that's weird because I totally didn't see that. Again, that's not, a surprise, but I thought, I always thought that he was giving his 100%, was always running. And of course, then I saw that he was kind of responsible for the last goal. But apart from that, I had a feeling he had done a good job. So
And then again, on the first goal, that's probably more Pepe than Contrao, but Contrao wasn't able to get in there and help him out against the Chilean at all. So, he's right there for 2 of the 3 goals, and the 2 of the 3 goals that actually had build-up and weren't crazy flukes. So, it's tough to really fault him because he had so many things working against him. But, I don't think he had the best performance.
All right. Another thing I wanted to comment about Las is if you think he has any influence on our Xavi's game. Because both Madridista on Twitter said at the end of the game that when Las plays in the midfield, Xavi is not as productive as he usually is. And I wanted to know if you agreed with that statement. Karan, maybe you want to start?
I think because of the fact that Lasagna starts running all over the pitch, Xavi Alonso has to reposition himself all the time. Okay. And that does take something out of Xavi's game. But yesterday, it wasn't that evident that, Xavi was becoming less productive or any of that. So I wouldn't agree with that.
All right. Apekshit?
Well, I completely drink to that, because last Diarra, he wins the battles in the midfield and then he distributes the ball, So somewhere Xavi's game, takes a toll, So I would say yes, Las and Xavi, they do not combine too well, I would say.
Okay, Aaron, to break the tie?
I don't think that Xavi's play benefits from Las, but I don't know that that's a huge deal because I agree with Pakshit that Las is much more likely to try and play an ambitious ball. I don't know that that's the best thing, but he's much more likely to try and distribute out of the back than a player like Khedira. So naturally, Xavi is less likely to have a huge impact. But I thought in this game, we didn't really see that all that much. I think Xavi was still able to impact the game. I don't know. Maybe it's my favoritism, but I thought that Xavi had a decent game. I think I think that at the end of the day, they're just going to have to learn to play together. I think Mourinho was a little bit disingenuous earlier on, when he was saying that Xavi and Las couldn't play together, because I think they definitely can. There's just an amount of Las figuring out where to run to not get in the way of Xavi's vastly superior positioning,
Okay.
It's always a good thing to have a really mobile player next to a less mobile player like Xavi, but it's just about using that mobility intelligently, which, we don't see a lot because it comes back to that point I've already had where we play differently against the smaller teams than we do against the bigger teams. We don't get a chance to practice those simple mechanics.
All right. Okay. Apekshit and Karan, do you want to answer anything to this, or should I move on? Okay. Move on. Next player would be Benzema. Karan, you had him on your list. It was the second item on your list of things to look out for. And Aaron, you had him on your hot list. So surely Benzema gave us like the best start we could dream of. I believe it was the fastest goal to be scored in a Clásico, but it was his only goal though. So I wanted you guys to tell me what you thought of his performance aside from the first goal that he gave us. Did the cat make a good impression on you? Maybe Apexit, you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I thought Benzema had a decent game, because against the side who keeps the ball so well, you know that you're not going to get much service, So I thought whatever service he got, I thought he certainly made the most of it. He did not lose the ball, and he just tried his thing, but then sadly it just did not work out on that particular night.
Okay, so overall you're satisfied.
Yes, pretty much I would say.
Okay. Aaron?
I think what Benzema had, which neither of our other two attackers had, and nobody else really going forward had, I guess Ozil was going forward a little bit, was patience. He was calm, cool, collected every time he was on the ball, and I think that's what made him so very dangerous to Barcelona. You look at the first chance that Ronaldo spurned, that was on a golden ladder from Benzema. Benzema did all the work to open up that space and, drop the ball off for Ronaldo just outside the 18 with a clear shooting lane and also a wide open Di Maria because Benzema had pulled over the defenders. But, Ronaldo and Di Maria managed to squander the chance. I think Benzema had a spectacular game. It's fantastic to see. I hope he continues his hot streak. He can be one of the very best strikers in the world, in my opinion.
All right. Karan, you concur with all the praises?
I would agree with them because he was just brilliant in yesterday's game. He was holding the ball really well when the rest of the attackers were coming, and he was tracking back as well, and it was just brilliant. His off the ball runs and all of it, his entire game was just awesome.
All right. Okay. So you see, I am so not knowledgeable because I thought, aside from his first goal, he didn't score again, and I was disappointed. So okay, changing my mind.
Yeah, that's because of the service. He did not receive much service. Had he received service, he probably would have scored more goals.
Okay, so I was wondering, do you still have things you want to say about Cristiano? Because that was going to be my next item on the list, but we've covered a lot of this topic already earlier. So if you want to say more things, we will, and otherwise we'll keep going with Marcelo.
Well, the less said, the better about him.
I'm sorry, what?
The less said, the better about him.
Okay.
Right. No reason to keep beating a dead horse.
Okay, Karan, do you want to defend him again, or you made your point?
Yeah, I made my point.
All right. Okay, so moving on. Next player on my list, Marcelo. It was a player that caused a bit of disagreement, especially between Aaron and Apexit, if you remember, because Apexit thought that Marcelo's kind of attacking spirit could cost us a lot in defense, while Aaron thought that those days were far behind us. So I will start with you, Apexit. Are you satisfied with Marcelo's performance? And do you think he's to blame at all for the goals or some of the goals that we received?
Well, I'm not at all satisfied with this performance. It was really bad. And the second goal that they scored, Xavi's shot, there was no one closing him down. That's the first mistake. And the second mistake is Marcelo's positioning, His positioning was terrible, which is why he's deflected the ball into his own net. And Casillas couldn't do anything about it.
You don't think it was bad luck, though?
Well, a little bit of bad luck. Yeah, a little bit of bad luck. I would say a little bit of bad luck. But going forward also, Marcelo gave us nothing. I thought going forward he would give us something, but then he did not give us anything going forward.
Okay, so pretty much disappointed. Aaron?
Yeah.
I wasn't disappointed with his match. I think he was the one that gave Dani Alves all that space to cross in the third goal, right?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I'm pretty sure at least. So that was a huge fault on his part. But I think otherwise he had a decent game. He wasn't really going forward and pressing on offense all that much. But that kind of makes sense. That's what's going to happen in a game like this. Like for the longest time, Dani Alves wasn't pressing forward on offense because when you play against a team as skilled as Barcelona or Real Madrid, you sort of have to sit back and defend a little bit more, and you can't leave all that space out front. I think he was terribly unlucky for the goal that Xavi scored. I don't think he was anywhere near the closest man to Xavi when he took that shot, so I don't think you can cite him for not closing down space on Xavi. I think it was not a terrible day at the office for Marcelo, but it was not a fantastic one either, which is too bad. He wasn't able to slip in a killer pass once, which, you know, is going to happen sometimes, especially against a team like Barcelona where you're so busy playing defense. I don't think his positioning was terribly off. I think by the time that he let Dani Alves get that cross off, the Madrid team was pretty much beaten already. I can't remember the specifics of the play, but if I remember correctly, it was a counterattack from Barcelona, so it makes sense that Marcelo would have been out of position as all of Madrid was trying to get that second goal to tie things up. So definitely not the worst player, but definitely not the best.
Okay, Karan?
Yeah, I agree with him out here because I think for the third goal he could have done a lot better, and the main reason why he was playing in this game was because of the offensive dimension he provides to it. But he wasn't really that much into the up ahead in the pitch because he was more or less concentrating on keeping Dani Alves checking his runs. So for the second goal, also I think he wasn't too close to Xavi, but he took his eyes off the ball, and I know, I mean, it's not his fault, obviously. I'm just rambling out here, but he could have done a little better. Obviously, there was no luck as well, but he could have done a little better out there just to block the shot.
Okay, so nobody was really impressed anyway by his game, his match.
Well, here's the question. Who do you play instead of him as left back?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
We don't have
Karan, you had a post about that. You had one big article about that.
Yeah, I was wondering if it could be Arbeloa but Arbeloa wasn't match fit. Because if he's not going to provide some offensive dimension to our game, we might as well just play Arbeloa and be safe with it. But like I said earlier, we didn't have any other option but Marcelo.
Okay, Apekshit, would you have played another player?
I don't think so. We short of choices here. You know, we just had to go with them, and we did it and paid the price.
Rewatching that second goal that Barcelona got, Marcelo is actually in great position there. It looks like he's man marking Sanchez, and Xavi is considerably closer to Lassana Diarra. It looks like, who doesn't really make any attempt to close him down immediately. So it's really, really cruel to claim that he was the reason for that second goal, you know. And I disagree. I don't think he's a defensive liability at all when he stays back. You know, when he goes forward, obviously he's leaving space behind him, but that's the nature of the game. You know, when he's sitting back there, I don't think that he's vastly superior to Arbeloa in defense.
Okay, so I guess we have to agree to disagree. We got three different opinions, kind of. Okay, Apekshit, were you more impressed with our center backs?
Well, I would say that we conceded 3 goals, so someone has to take the responsibility. And for the first goal, Messi went past Ramos, and Ramos was just backtracking. He was not able to do much. So I would say they actually had a poor game. I'm not blaming anyone here, but then I would say they just had a poor game.
Okay. Aaron?
Yeah, I think Ramos could have done more on that first goal. He was kind of in a transitional position. He was trying to come back and he met Messi in the midfield. And, there's something that our players like to do against Messi, which I don't really understand, is instead of listening to the fundamentals that they've been taught ever since they were, about knee high, they don't contain, they just stab at the ball. And Messi is so quick with it that, he just gets right around that. So, Ramos and Las both pressured him but didn't try to contain him. He was able to get off a decent pass. Sanchez made a fantastic run, and then Pepe wasn't able to close down on that fantastic run. He was kind of asleep at the wheel a little bit. So, besides that, you look at the second goal, it's hard to blame the center backs for that. You look at the third goal, and again, it's really hard to blame the center backs because that ball came from the flank and went to the far post. You can't expect your center backs to be covering that back post run. That has to be, your fullback from the opposite flank. And Contrao and Marcelo dropped the ball there on the third goal. So I think the center backs had a decent game. I know it's weird to say that when we lose 3-1, but I don't think they're really at fault for anything besides the first goal.
Okay. Karan?
Yeah, I'd agree out there as well because Ramos, he could have done a little better for the first goal. He was playing. Initially, I was like, when he slipped in the starting of the game, I was like, oh my God, we are having another big problem amongst our centre backs. But he was playing a decent game, and even Pepe, he was playing decent. Like, you can't really blame our centre backs because, like Aaron pointed out earlier, the third goal also, the second goal was a fluke. I would take it as a fluke. So we can't really blame our centre backs for these goals.
Okay. An element that we might take into account was the weather. I'm certainly not, suggesting that we lost because of the weather, trying to find excuses. But one of the commentators said that had it not been raining, I think was the second goal, he thinks that they thought that Casillas would have had time to react and stop it. So, Aaron, you're a goalkeeper, right? He said. So do you see what they meant, and do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's that ability to quickly change direction and momentum that rain is going to absolutely kill. If your body is moving one direction, trying to switch and move back in the other direction at pace is not going to work if you don't have solid footing. And Casillas didn't have that, and those are the absolute worst goals as a keeper. It's those goals, and if you get chipped, you want to dig a hole in the ground and just climb on in and have someone cover you up with dirt, and that'll be the end of it, because you can't help but hate yourself. And Casillas really, it's tough to blame him for that goal because, he was making the right movements for the way the shot was initially placed, and just a weird bounce, and 9 times out of 10 that ball hits the post and goes out. But that one time Casillas wasn't able to get to it, and I think the rain definitely played some part into that. I don't know, can we blame Valdez's poor clearance at the beginning of the game on the rain?
Oh yeah, it's true, actually. That
might be balancing things out right there.
Yeah, there was also Ramos we almost had the first Barca goal by Messi when Ramos fell. That was definitely the rain too, right? The field was slippery, I think.
Absolutely. Ramos doesn't make it a habit of doing push-ups in the middle of a match.
Okay, what about you, Karan? What do you think about the influence of the rain? Obviously, it's not a major influence because both teams were affected by it anyway. But do you think it played some kind of a role?
I think so that even in the first goal, if I'm correct, Alex's shot from outside the penalty box, and Casillas is brilliant at parrying away low shots. I mean, it was because of the rain that he didn't get his, the right kind of the diving thing towards his left, but towards the right. I'm sorry, but I think the rain influenced the first goal a little as well. Casillas has been for how much of a time I've seen him. He's always parried away low shots from outside the penalty box brilliantly, and I think he could have done a little better if the rain wouldn't have been a big problem with us. That's it.
Okay, Abhishek, I know you're upset. So, are you gonna say that this game was a disgrace and the rain had nothing to do with it?
No, I certainly wouldn't say that. It would
Okay.
be tomfoolery should I say that, because rain did play a part in it. And Casillas is certainly not culpable for the second one, for the second goal. Because once the keeper goes one way, it's very difficult to change your body position and try and save that shot, It was really, really difficult, and he just tried, but then could not pull it off. And the players slipping there, that is one thing which can be worked out, As professionals, they should choose the right footwear, We have long studs and we have short studs, So
Okay.
when they know that it's raining, they can probably try long studs, so as to get a good grip, So that's one thing which the professionals can do, and probably should have done,
All right. I didn't think about that at all.
I've got to disagree with Karan about that first goal that Barcelona scored. I don't think that has anything to do with the rain. I think Casillas just simply couldn't get to it because I think it was a fantastic shot, which I hate to have to say because I don't really like that player particularly much. We'll probably talk about that later. But that was a great shot, and Casillas wasn't able to get to it, and I really don't think that had much to do with the fact that it was raining.
Okay.
But do you think that it was Casillas' fault then, or was it just a brilliant shot?
It was a brilliant shot.
As far as I know, I think he's parried away. If it's outside the penalty box, you always count on Casillas to parry those shots away. No matter where you score.
You count on that because he's superhuman, but when he doesn't make those saves, you don't say, "Oh, he's a terrible keeper." You just say,
I'm definitely not saying he's a terrible keeper. I'm just saying probably it was because of the rain that he couldn't get in time to save the shot. That's what I feel.
Okay, I just as a keeper myself, I don't think that the rain really messed with the dynamics of his ability there, but I can understand. I have a different opinion. It's fine.
Okay, well, I have a criticism about Casillas. I know we all think very, very high of him as a goalkeeper, but he has these characteristics that he does when he wants to pass the ball to, I don't know, whoever on his team. He shots like very long passes to nowhere. Like most of the time, it ends up in the feet of a Barca player or an opposite player. And last night, quite a few times it ended up in Valdez's feet or hands. So I was very upset with that. I don't know why he just doesn't, makes short passes to a defender or a midfielder and whatever. But I don't know. This is a peculiarity that he has. He always does it, and it really, really, really upsets me. I don't know, goalkeeper Aaron, you want to say something?
There is a huge amount of frustration at being on the pitch, doing a great job, and still not being able to influence the match enough. He's making the saves he's supposed to. He's making the saves he's not even supposed to be able to make, and still his team isn't able to convert on simple chances. And that, as a keeper, is so frustrating. You want to make something happen. You want to provide that ball that, is the assist or is the pass just before the assist and say, look, I did everything here. You guys go score another goal. Let's win this game. So I think that's why, he gets frustrated in those scenarios and starts kicking the ball downfield. I think it's not always a tragedy when the ball ends up in the opposite midfielder's hands. There was one time where, if Benzema had an extra step, he quite easily could have taken a chance on one of those. But I think, yeah, his distribution was poor, and it showed a lack of faith in his team.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. Karan, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. He was getting really irritated at everybody because he was just helpless out there. He couldn't do anything to help the team, and it was just plain irritation that was getting to him. That's about it.
Okay, Apekshit?
Yeah, Casillas was clearly irked. He wanted to change the game. He wanted to do something for his team. And these long passes can actually be a blessing in disguise, It can surely be a blessing in disguise, but then it just did not work for him on that particular night.
Okay. Oh, so you all agree on this. Wow.
Unanimous opinion.
Well, you got to remember that Casillas is entering this game with a different mentality than most of the players on our squad. He's not used to losing to Barcelona day in and day out like a player like Ozil or Khedira or Las is. Like, those players are used to losing to Barcelona, which is tragic to think about. But Casillas is not. So I don't think he's subject to the same psychological issues that a lot of our other team players are.
Okay. All right. And as the captain also, I guess, yeah, it's his duty to push them. He was so upset at last, when was it, last committed a foul? I don't remember whom. And Barca got this free kick, like, right next to the area, and he would, so, Las went to defend, right? And after they had saved the ball and everything, like, Casillas was actually, like, shouting at Las. It was funny because the action was a few minutes away already, but then he took his chance to actually, scold him and say, you have to do a better job. You cannot make these fouls so close to the area. It was interesting.
Sometimes the keeper has to do that, and he's, in the unique position that he can be meaner than anyone else on the pitch. Like, the keeper just, I don't know what it is, but we have some sort of privilege that we're allowed to be complete asshats, and our teammates just have to take it.
Oh, Apekshit, what do you think?
Well, I would just like to say that he was just trying his bit, but then he just couldn't pull it off.
Okay. All right. Last player on my list was Di Maria. Karan, you said that you thought he did a very, very good job. Surprisingly, because everybody knows that I really like Di Maria, I thought that, as usual, he was very hardworking, but I thought he lacked precision and sometimes clarity, like some of his passes. So I expected more from him, actually. Apekshit, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I thought Di Maria had a very decent game, His work rate was absolutely amazing, and he was willingly taking on people, So you need someone who can go past players, who has pace. I was really happy to see that he was taking on players yesterday. That's a good way of making space. If you go past a defender, you can have a lot of space, and you can certainly make the most of it. But then somehow things did not work out, So but I still think that he was very decent,
Okay, so I'm really I have very poor judgments today. I have all my opinions wrong. Aaron, do you maintain Di Maria on the not hot list?
Well, I think he continued a bit of his poor form when it comes to his final touch on the ball. He definitely had the dribbling skills, and I totally agree that that's a very important thing to have on your team, is somebody that's not afraid to take on a player or two, and because there was a couple times where he would draw Barcelona defenders out of position, and then if he gets the ball off, if he gets a decent enough cross off, that's an easy chance right there. So he was definitely on point with the dribbling, but sadly he was terribly off point with being able to place the ball where he wanted to once it left his foot. And at the end of the day, if he's not able to do that, it doesn't matter how well he's dribbling, how much he's running. As one of our attacking trident members, he has to be able to contribute with goal scoring opportunities. And there's that first chance that Ronaldo missed. And I can hardly blame him for not passing to Di Maria there, though, because you think of Di Maria's chance before that, and he basically passed the ball to Valdez, on the breakaway. Well, not quite a breakaway, but they were definitely pressuring the Barcelona defense hard, had them on the back foot, and instead of sending in a curling ball to meet one of the onrushing Madrid attackers, or sending in a fierce shot against Valdez, he just fluffs the ball and passes it to Valdez's chest, So I think that was kind of the exemplar of Di Maria's play. Is he did well getting into good positions, he dribbled well, but when it came to actually doing something with the ball, he failed miserably.
Well, I wouldn't be that tough, but that's exactly how I felt. that he was doing all the good job, and then in the last, this last pass, this last action that actually is meaningful, that he was not delivering. Karan, you want to say something contrary to what I'm saying?
I feel he wasn't brilliant, but none of the team members were brilliant. So if it was from a bad bunch, I think he was the best out of the lot, because he was giving it his all. I remember this one time when he took 4 defenders and he yet put in a cross which Benzema couldn't head, or as long as I remember, it was something like that. But his work rate was just brilliant, and I think he was giving the match his everything, and that's what you have to do in a Clásico.
Okay.
Hats off to Di Maria for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. On that I do agree. Yeah. All right. Any other? I think we've covered all the players, because we did the substitutions, all the defense, the midfield, and the attack. So I think we're good. But maybe you have some extra comments to say, so that's your chance. On the players, I mean, because then we move on to other topics. No, we're good. Okay. I wanted to talk about sportsmanship. That was another topic that could have been, that was a concern and could have turned ugly yesterday with the whole, Morbo issue. And I was actually very nicely surprised. I don't know about you, but I didn't think that Barca used theatrics that much, actually, or at all. And I saw that, Valdez was helping some of our players like Di Maria, Higuaín, and Cristiano to get back on their feet after a special play or whatever. And he also went to Marcelo at the end of the game to shake his hand. And I had a feeling Marcelo was actually denying that. So I don't know what happened so much. So if it wasn't for the hint of a beginning of a fight between Keita and Marcelo at the end, I thought it went very, very well. And I was wondering if you agreed too. Maybe a peg shit, because you're Mr. Fair Play here. You want to go first?
Yeah, I thought the same. I thought the same. The game was played very fair and square. But then one thing which actually bothered me was soon after every foul, both the team players, they were trying to put pressure on the referee. They were trying to get their fellow professionals booked. So that's one thing which shouldn't be done.
Okay.
Because the referee is, there's a lot of pressure on the referee, already. So what you're doing is you're making his job difficult, It's already difficult, and it's like putting a lot of pressure on him, So I thought that was one thing which probably shouldn't have happened,
All right, Karan.
I think it was a competitive affair, and there was no play acting, no theatrics, nothing. There was just this one time where Sanchez was asking the referee to give, I don't remember exactly who, but somebody a yellow card.
Pepe, I think.
Ramos.
Because he also asked for Pepe, because Pepe
but
tackled him twice.
Besides that isolated incident, this game was much, much better than the previous Clásicos. It's just a shame that at the end of the day, we couldn't stamp our authority on it. That's it.
Okay. Aaron?
I don't know. I guess I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think Sanchez, besides just that, was definitely taking part in the darker arts of football. I think there was one time where Pepe tried to clear the ball, swung his foot through, missed the ball, missed the player, but the player still, like Pepe very clearly pulled his kick so he didn't follow through on the player. And I think it was Sanchez, and Sanchez still, tried to act like he had gotten kicked in the chest or the face or the neck or whatever. There was a little bit of rolling on the ground, which I always hate to see. And unfortunately, there was a bit of hard tackling on Madrid's part, particularly in the second half. Ramos came in pretty rough there. I don't think Lass's yellow card was a particularly nasty tackle. It was just one of those ones where it was kind of grabbing more than anything. I think that I'm not going to fault Marcelo for not wanting to shake Valdez's hand after the match, because it's very easy after the match you've just won to try and be the bigger man and go shake someone's hand. And it's much more difficult after you've just lost a match, especially to a team that you don't particularly like, especially right after your blood's kind of started boiling over a little bit, to not really want to be civil with them. So I don't know that I'm going to fault Marcelo for not wanting to shake hands after that. I definitely agree, though, that this match was better than matches in the past as far as less play acting, less bone-crunching tackles.
So you saw that too, or you're talking about what I said, that Marcelo didn't want to shake hands with Valdez. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't at the time make the assumption that, Marcelo was kind of denying the handshake, but I could definitely see that in retrospect, that that's what he was doing. He was kind of giving the snub, saying, I don't want to deal with you right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, well. All right. The last topic on my list was where do we go from here? Because obviously we haven't resolved the whole Barca trauma issue. We don't have all the points we thought we would have after this game. They say, that whoever loses the Clásico at home usually doesn't win the Liga. All those things that we don't need to pay attention to, but still statistics are there. So what do we do now? We just, move on, learn from the mistakes, and focus on Sevilla. Karan, maybe you want to go first?
I don't think so. There's any Barca trauma out here. We were out of luck, and that's about it. Because our history doesn't just pan out in the last 6 years or so. Another day, and we'll just we'll come out on top. And like I'll quote Coach Cheryshev out here. Barca will be a fashion, but Madrid's a legend. So I wouldn't say there's any Barca trauma out here.
All right. Apekshit?
Yeah, I would say that we need not beat Barcelona to win the La Liga. We can lose against them and still win the league. But then for that we need to be consistent, and we should just make sure that we keep on winning all our games. So I mean it's going to be tough from here. Sevilla is certainly a good team, but then we should just make sure that we keep picking up our points, And the Barcelona players, they will drop points, they'll certainly drop points because they're going to play in the FIFA Club World Cup also, and they're going to be tired, Once they come back, they're going to be tired. So Getafe did us a favor, there are teams waiting out there to do us a favor, So we should just make sure that we keep on winning our matches. So that's the way we can win the league this year.
Okay, Aaron?
Yeah, I think we got to go out and we got to win against Ponferradina first.
That's true.
In the Copa del Rey. But after that, yeah, we go and we beat Sevilla. We're at Sevilla, right?
Yes.
It's an away match, so that's that's a huge match right there, So they're not doing quite as well as they've done in the past, but they're definitely a tough side. So we really have to kind of pick ourselves up after that match and be prepared to take the game to Sevilla and totally dominate and show why we deserve to win La Liga, even if, we're not going to end up beating Barcelona in the league this year. Which, again, if we go back to my comments before about Madrid being a side built to beat weaker teams, we are totally capable of entirely dominating the league. So even if, we lose the second game against Barcelona, heaven forbid, we still have a very real chance of winning La Liga. All we got to do is win more than Barcelona. As simple as that. And I think we're capable of that. And that would be the ultimate kick in the teeth, to have us be beaten by Barcelona twice in one season, yet still win La Liga.
Yeah, I took part in a special feature on the website Real Madrid Info that Ashley, is a team member of. They asked me to ask questions to a Barca fan, and he sent me questions as well, and we were like answering. And one of this guy's question was, what would it mean to you if you won the Liga having lost both Clásicos? And I answered, well, it would mean to me the same thing as to anybody else, that Barca really, really sucked, because if they lose with this big difference in points in their favor, then, it's just it speaks very well of what we will have accomplished during this Liga. So, yeah, that was my opinion at the time. I was a bit cocky in this interview. I wish I hadn't been, but I had to. No, I wasn't too cocky. Actually, I was pretty decent, but I had to play the character also. And now he's probably laughing a lot, and I am not. But oh well. All right. Anything else you want to add, or we've done a very long Q&A. That's great. So thank you so much. But if you have anything to add, go ahead. No.
Well, I do want to say I want to say one thing about the first goal. I went back and I rewatched it, and I changed my mind. Contrao is more to blame than Pepe, because Pepe has Sanchez offsides and Contrao is playing him on. As simple as that.
Okay.
If Contrao had kept the line that Pepe had set, Sanchez would have been offsides. Goal wouldn't have counted.
Oh wow, poor Contrao.
I know, right?
In the last minute, more. You kind of witness for the prosecution here.
Yeah. The surprise witness being called to the stand.
Yeah, in the last minute.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that's it then. Thank you so much, as usual. I enjoyed very much, and I appreciate very much that you signed in and you participated today, despite the disappointment and the defeat. So it's very much appreciated. And well, that's it. I guess I'll talk to you later, and I will read your post very soon.
Okay, thanks for the conversation, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And bye-bye to the listeners also. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This was a Madridismo.org production.